Divine command theory is another view about what makes an act right or what standards an act must satisfy in order to be right or wrong. We said at the beginning that to speak about moral issues intelligibly, to speak about issues like abortion and capital punishment rationally, we should probably step back and consider the most fundamental question first. And the most fundamental question is not, is abortion right or wrong? But what is moral rightness and wrongness? What makes an act right? What do all right acts have in common that make them right? If we can figure that out, then we have a criterion we can apply to the abortion issue, the capital punishment issue, the gun control issue. We'll know what to look for. We'll know what sorts of arguments are relevant. And we won't be prone to the kinds of mistakes that a lot of people are prone to who haven't really thought about the nature of moral rightness. We use the example of water. We've gone around for some time referring to water, drinking water, washing with it, and all this time we didn't know what makes something water. And then one day the chemist came along and said water is H2O. That's what makes something water, that it's H2O. So now if we have a liquid in front of us and we're not sure whether it's water, we have a criterion we can apply. We can test to see if it's H2O. And that's what we want to do with ethics, with individual ethical problems. We want some criterion or standard we can apply to figure out whether we should say it's right or wrong. One theory we've already looked at, objectivism, is a very general type of theory. The objectivist says that what makes an act right or wrong has nothing to do with how you or I feel about that act. Objectivism comes from the word object. An object is something out there in the world to be discovered, in contrast to subjectivism, which comes from the word subject, the subject being you. So the subjectivist believes that you are the standard of what's right or wrong. You make things right by approving of them. The objectivist disagrees. She says that we don't make actions right or wrong, or neither does the culture, just as we don't make it the case that red is darker than yellow. Morality is an objective fact of the world, and our job is to discover whether racism is objectively right or wrong. We don't make it up. So the objectivist basically tells us what morality is not. It's not dependent on how you or I think or feel about it, but that doesn't give us much information. So under the heading of objectivism, we have more specific theories, theories that all agree with objectivism, but they try to give us a little more detail. They try to specify a little more content to the notion of moral rightness. One theory we'll be looking at is utilitarianism. According to the utilitarian, what makes an act right is that it produces the best consequences. So even if an act produces the best consequences, it's right, regardless of whether the culture approves of it, regardless of whether you approve of it. The right act is the one that, say, maximizes happiness and minimizes pain. That's an objectivist view. Why? Because it's the consequences that make an act right or wrong, not you or me and how we feel about that act. Another type of objectivist theory is divine command theory. It's just the one we're looking at now. Divine command theorists say that what makes an act right or wrong depends on God. God is the author. God is the standard of moral rightness. So if that's true, then hatred or racism would still be wrong if forbidden by God, even if the culture approves of racism, even if an individual approves of racism. Those things don't shift or create what's right or wrong. It's God who determines the content of morality, according to the divine command theorist.